We are back here on my channel, Survive and Thrive. And today, I want to talk about a company that I covered in July of this year. And it's one that I still have a strong faith in and really believe in the long-term vision for this company. And that is Planet 13, ticker symbol PLNHF. Going into this first article, for those of you who have been following the price action of this stock, you know that it has been beaten down here in recent months. And Planet 13 in Q3, their revenue of 33 million slightly exceeded their Q2 level. I think that is part in reason for their downward turn in the stock price, as well as some other catalysts that I'm going to talk about here in this video. For any that are wanting to watch what I previously covered in July, take a look at this suggestion link up in the upper right hand corner and go and watch that video as far as what I predicted back then in terms of the share price and where we currently are now. Planet 13 announced their Q3 2021 financial results, up 45% compared to Q3 2020, and an adjusted EBITDA of 3.5 million. As it notes here by Larry Scheffler, co-CEO of Planet 13, we continued to drive strong performance during the quarter from our core Las Vegas operations. Along with our dispensary operations, our product brands are performing well with trendy vapes, seeing 110% dollar sales growth year over year, according to Headset. It now makes up about 5% of vape sales and 7% of concentrate sales. So you can see that they are starting to find some opportunities to be able to expand their business with these little one-off sales, which at the end of the day will continue to raise revenue and profits. Along with stellar performance from our Nevada operations, this was a massive quarter towards securing the future growth of Planet 13. They opened the California store, and while initial sales growth has been slower due to headwinds from the pandemic and untimely road construction around the superstore, customer reviews have been outstanding, and they expect growth as those headwinds abate. And that's from Bob Grosbeck, who is also a co-CEO of Planet 13. And I think many of you have seen some of this recent news. They also won a dispensary license for the Chicago area, giving them a clear path for their next superstore, as well as acquiring a Florida license that will allow them to vertically integrate and open multiple neighborhood and superstores in the state of Florida. So those are future catalysts that will help to definitely boost the share price, as well as give more mainstream exposure to potential investors who are really going to want to jump in and buy into this company once they realize where this company is headed. As you can see here in their financial highlights from Q3 2021 operating results, all comparisons below to the quarter ended September 30th, 2020. Revenues were 33 million as compared to 22.8 million, which is an increase of 45% as I touched on before. Gross profit before biological adjustments was 17.6 million or 53.5% as compared to 13 million or 56.9%. Operating expenses excluding non-cash compensation was 15.1 million as compared to 7.2 million, an increase of 110%. Net loss before taxes of 4.6 million as compared to a net profit of 3.4 million. Net loss of 10.2 million as compared to a net profit of 0.2 million. An adjusted EBITDA of 3.6 million as compared to adjusted EBITDA of 6.4 million. I think that part of the reason why we're seeing a negative turn for this stock valuation is because they're not substantially growing like some investors may have expected. And so that's creating a downward catalyst for the share price. Just to go through a quick summary, July 1st, 2021, Planet 13 opened the Orange County Superstore. July 7th, 2021, they announced Moxie's third store-in-store in Orange County Superstore. July 14th, 2021, Planet 13 announced the results of its AGM. August 5th, 2021, Planet 13 announced that its 49% owned subsidiary Planet 13 Illinois won a Chicago dispensary license. On September 1st, 2021, Planet 13 announced a definitive agreement to acquire a Florida cannabis license. September 21st, 2021, Planet 13 announced the doubling of the dispensary floor space at the Las Vegas Superstore. October 1st, 2021, Planet 13 announced the close of its acquisition of Florida cannabis license. So as you can see, just within the last year, there has been a ton of activity for this company, and it only shows how aggressive they are and how quickly this company will grow if they continue to manage this company well and perform, which I think they will. And so that's why for me, I did buy into this company just about a year and a half ago. And anytime I see weakness in this particular stock, I pick up more and buy that dip for sure, because this is not a company for me for the next 1 to 2 years. It's a company for me for the next 5 to 7, potentially 10 years. Here on Seeking Alpha, Planet 13, the cannabis superstore, is a strong buy. Let's take a look at this quick summary and then we'll dive into the details. The Planet 13 Superstore is like the Disneyland of cannabis, and I've also seen it referred to as the Cabela's of cannabis. And I think in both cases, these are good descriptions of what the company is about. In the Disneyland case, it's about the experience, and I think that's really what they focus on and do well and will continue to exceed at. And with the Cabela's concept, it's about having these mega superstores in every state in the United States and being able to have that be the tourist destination location that people are going to want to go visit as more and more states legalize cannabis. Planet 13 has 1 or required licenses in 2 or more states, like I touched on before, which should help it grow rapidly moving forward. The company boasts strong profit margins that rank highly among peers. The stock is deeply undervalued, and long-term shareholders should be generously awarded. And you should do your own research to really understand what this company is about. But I think that if you are someone who is interested in this space, this is one of those strong companies that, like I said, as long as they continue to perform and be managed, this will be a place where you can make substantial gains. And these videos that I'm putting on YouTube will be here to prove it in the years to come. Like I talked about, they are going after this superstore concept, and they want to make purchasing cannabis a wonderful experience. They have generated strong profitability due to the higher margins sustained at the superstore, and that appears to have earned it some premium as compared to peers. The stock, nonetheless, appears very cheap in its own right, and this particular author expects shareholders to earn strong returns over the long term. And I am in complete agreement, especially with, at the current moment, the stock trading actually just below $4 per share. As of the writing of this article, they say above, but we're actually just under 4. And what's noted here, the stock appears to have fallen due to dampened enthusiasm regarding the potential for regulatory reform. The highs earlier in the year occurred after Democrats won the Georgia Senate runoffs. While one might be tempted to state that the stock was expensive in February due to false hopes for regulatory reform, the view is that the stock was cheaply priced then and is even cheaper now. The company is known as a multi-state operator, meaning that it has cannabis operations in many states, or will, here very soon. And that said, it has a concentrated footprint with most of its operations in Nevada and the rest in California. So this goes on to say and talk about the work that they're doing in Chicago, Illinois, as well as Florida. And like I mentioned, those will be boost for this company and really getting exposure to what they're about and showing that they can expand and increase revenues and profits and build the business very rapidly. The superstore makes purchasing cannabis a full experience. You can watch the production in action. The scenery is beautiful. You won't leave without a few selfies. And from what I've heard, anybody who's been to the superstore in Vegas, it is an experience. and they've done it very high detail for the way that they put these stores together. And like I said, it's a destination that people want to go and visit, as well as make purchases for cannabis. Now, one aspect that was talked about previously was in Vegas, while you can buy cannabis, there really aren't a lot of good spots to actually consume the product. And so what they've done in Vegas is they've created this cannabis lounge where you can actually consume cannabis or smoke cannabis. And so with that happening, this is perfectly in alignment with Planet 13, and they're going after that niche market. And I think that that will help them to really grow in Vegas and be able to spread out very quickly. It's noted here that the store that they opened in Orange County in California has been affected by the lockdown and the pandemic because they do inherently rely on tourism. And so that has had an impact, I would say, in both Nevada and California. But once things open back up, which eventually they will, then we are going to see a big, huge boost for all of their stores and their overall revenue. Looking long term, Planet 13 seeks to add at least 6 more superstores across the nation, coupled with ordinary dispensaries for a complete footprint. And I've seen this previously in a video that I did way back when I first started covering this company. You can take a look at that suggestion link up here in the upper right hand corner too if you want to check that out. But you can see here just this United States map. That's what they're after, is spreading out throughout the country, creating these superstore experiences, and really making a name for themselves, which is going to be great for anybody who jumps in early and really is behind what this company is about. This goes on to say that they can see Planet 13 generating 20% to 30% long-term growth simply due to the secular tailwinds of cannabis itself, which warrants a 10x to 15x price to sales multiple. PLNHF is currently trading at 6 times sales and is expected to grow at a 45% clip moving forward. The stock appears priced to offer strong returns from both underlying growth as well as multiple expansion. They can see the stock trading up to at least 10x sales, representing over 60% near-term upside. So that's why, for me, as I continue to learn more about this company and keep up to date with the latest news, I just see more and more promise behind what this company is about and where they're headed. And a more recent article here in Motley Fool from the last week, 3 leading cannabis stocks to buy for December. We will focus on, obviously, Planet 13, but this article does touch on a very good description, an out-of-this-world opportunity, which is very fitting for their name. And like I said, it really is about the experience. Planet 13 Holdings is doing cannabis differently. While it operates a handful of marijuana dispensaries in a few states, like other MSOs, what separates Planet 13 from the competition is its focus on providing cannabis consumers with an experience. According to Planet 13, its Las Vegas dispensary is the largest in the world, but beyond just having a large selection of dried cannabis, paraphernalia, and derivatives to purchase in the retail store, it also features a cafe, a processing center, and an events stage. Because of its presence near the Las Vegas Strip, the dispensary attracted over 1 million visitors in 2019 before the pandemic shut everything down, and it still represented over 9% of all marijuana sales in the state. While the number of visits are still below the 2-year level, volume is growing and should eventually reach parity. Management believes the dispensary will generate $130 million in annual revenue from its Nevada stores by 2023. But it's more than just Vegas. Beyond its megaplexes, Planet 13 also operates a smaller neighborhood retail concept called Medizin, which is the same experience, just in a smaller footprint. Instead of 55,000 square foot facilities, Medizin is fully built out at just 4,750 square feet. It could be the blueprint Planet 13 uses to expand across the country, to grow both sales and profits, as a smaller store generates a higher percentage of its sales from higher margin in-house brands. Now, here in Motley Fool, this article states, within 5 years, Planet 13 tends to have at least 8 superstores and nearly 24 smaller locations. So that is a very positive outlook for me to see. And I'm really looking forward to see how this company performs and what they're able to do in the next few years. At just $3.77 per share, Wall Street sees the MSO nearly doubling in value over the next year, setting a consensus price target of $7 per share. Revenue is forecast to grow from $70 million last year to $205 million by the end of next year, when it turns from a loss of 5 cents per share in 2019 to a profit of 6 cents per share. The stock is down after the company missed third quarter estimates, but that makes Planet 13 Holdings a discounted stock to buy today. So let's take a look at price action here in the past few months and over the last year. And if I go back to when I last covered this video, which was in July, prior to that, in February, $8.19. And you can see where it's had these peaks and valleys, volatility. And I just think right now it's because, yes, there are some strong investors in the company, but I also think that with the uncertainty of when cannabis will be approved on a federal level, that there's just going to be ups and downs with the share valuation accordingly. But looking back to July of 2021, you can see that we were still just under $7, so a lot higher than we are today. And as you can see here, down 43.5% for the year. And that can be concerning for a lot of investors, but I think, like a lot of these articles are discussing, you have to look at the long-term picture. And I put together a video a few months back. I'll put that up here as well for you to check that out. The power of 1,000. So you really have to understand when you're investing, especially if you have strong conviction for a company, to put your money where your mouth is. Because if that company is successful and you've done your research and due diligence and really stand behind them, that's where you are to make the most gains. When I first started investing, I was risk adverse, and so I'd be very careful about putting a lot of money into one company. But like I said, as I've learned over the years, especially if you feel strongly, you need to jump in early and buy in and build out your holdings quickly. Because if you put $1,000 into a company, or if the company is cheap and you can buy 1,000 shares, that's where you make the real money over years. But I'm also an extreme long-term investor, so I'm looking over 10 to 15 years. And like I've mentioned before, I haven't sold any stocks, cryptocurrency, or NFTs in the last 13 to 14 years since I started investing. So I'm continuing to just buy and accumulate and build my wealth, because I am on that path to financial freedom. And that's what I want for every one of you, is to find ways to make money on your money and get yourself out of the rat race. That's what we're all looking for, is to figure out a way to be smarter and not have to work as hard. And then if we look as we continue down this chart over time, just on a downward spiral, which is unfortunate. But like I said, for myself, I really do believe in the long-term vision for this company. So these are great times for me to be able to accumulate and build out holdings more. That's what I had to talk about today for Planet 13. Leave any comments below if you're a believer in this company, have holdings, and or interested in investing in this one. If there are other companies out there in the cannabis space that are of interest, or you think that others would be wanting to look into or get to know more about, please also note those below. If there's ones that I go and do more research on and it seems that there's viewers who are interested in those, then I'll probably do some future videos for those. As always, I want to make sure that we're helping to build out this community and my long-term goal is to be able to help others. But the only way I can do that is to grow this channel to 1,000 subscribers and be able to find those opportunities to give back to this community. So help do your part